Wait a minute. I'm not in high school anymore. Maybe this is all a dream. Ah! It was a dream. I need a glass of water. Wait a minute. I moved out of the desert years ago. Maybe this is a dream. Ah! I am ready to be a parent, Mr. Burke.
What do you plan to do if you win the lottery?
Well, I finally splurge and buy myself one of those fancy prostitutes. We don't edit that out. Well, I finally splurge and buy myself one of those fancy four-piece suits. I'd like to join your country club. I assume that won't be a problem. I'm not getting any reception.
Me neither.
No buys. It's all right. I'll put a message in a bottle. Now we wait.
Nigga.
Are you all right?
I'm fine. Lucky for you, this tree was my destination. And the job exchange begins.
Sir, do you want to move ahead on the agreement with the sanitation union?
Sir, we need leadership.
I guess I got distracted and get about that. Oh, I can't do this anymore. I just gotta ask him out.
Sorry.
Peninsula.
If you escaped the zombie outbreak in South Korea only to be sent right back into the East to retrieve lost loot, what would you do? Oh yeah, doing Young Seok, I'm just kidding, do a little bit better. Young So, the Marine before the outbreak, now a refugee, barely scraping by in Hong Kong, receives an offer and refuse.
Shit is
From the
dead.
mob. Gonna break down the mistakes of May, but you could do that if he did 3-1 and Busan Peninsula. Start out following the zombie outbreak from the original Train to Busan. Our main character, Young So, a South Korean Marine Corps officer, is attempting to get out of Incheon with his sister, brother-in-law, and nephew. As I covered within my original video, surviving this, especially when living in a large metropolitan city, is extremely
Was
difficult to pull off.
Goody!
Young So has the training, protection for an
We're
early
back on that Call of Duty.
get cheap through generating excessive amounts of opium from a loyal fan base, and ultimately crushing their dreams.
So worth it. So worth it.
Our Marine protest is taking his family to a military extraction point, a boat site, heading for Japan. Young So, being an officer himself, gets his CO to wait for him to make
I might one day stream the entire Modern Warfare 3 campaign, not gonna lie.
Also, very fortunate. Realistically, if you're not there on time, they're leaving. Young So expertly channels inner.
I'm only here for my live chat, by the way.
Encounter a bloody stranger, wife and infant daughter asking for help. Young So does what anyone with their brains firmly attached to their head should do,
Damn!
and leaves them. Oh, I even said in my original Train to Busan video, any other zombie video, people are 100% going to hide their bite wound. It's not a risk taking. The discussion. You could argue wife and kid. What if it's not
Wife
his
and kid
blood
this,
that-
wife and kid that. I don't give a fuck. I'm not getting infected, and if I get infected, I'm just killing the person who infected me first. Before I kill myself.
On TV,
Easy.
where we get the much desired backstory from the original movie. Swept under the carpet. Busan was a safe haven, but it isn't anymore. Also, Korean government collapsed within a day. North Korea managed to get this thing under control somehow.
I'm gonna get that weapon. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
While the checkpoint outside is heavily staffed,
We need 42, which is a total of, okay. If we need 42, right? Yeah, 42.
Meant to function as a way to separate survivors, but I found it's beyond.
I can buy 2 of
disturbing.
these.
And a proper quarantine procedure here for the survivor. As we
Oh.
know, the virus spreads super fast, transforming an
2
infected
tokens.
individual
I'm gonna
in
buy.
under a minute top. Not posting guards in each and every cabin, or at least by the entrance to each and every cabin, is done, at least to prevent infected, panicking survivors who are about
Weapon XP token.
the other survivors on board.
And I'm finally gonna grab myself a new variant of this.
Rerouted to Hong Kong instead of Japan, trying to figure out why. You can talk to those in charge. While a clearly infected passenger starts tweaking, literally nobody seems to notice. See, this, by guards in every room, is important. This is why quarantine procedures matter. How did this guy get past that checkpoint without turning, when we know that everyone starts turning within a minute or two? I felt kind of surprised that here in this movie that North Korea did better, but saying this, I can definitely understand why. Hell, the passengers don't seem to notice the guy turning. I mean, I don't know. You not all just escape in the middle of a crowded city, absolute chock full of these things? Don't take rallies now. Bolting voluntarily. That is a zombie about to strike. Every single person in that cabin realistically knows it. However, if you're in that room when this goes down, this guy tweets, don't immediately bolt. You're dead. Even when this child gets within inches of the now clearly zombified person, nobody around him even notices until this guy backflips onto the seat. Also dealing with useful military bureaucracy. He is informed of the breach in containment. You can call it that. It happened nearly a whole minute and a half after this guy was already visibly turning. Nonetheless, Young So immediately jumps into action, sake of his family. Like a true Marine warrior, Young So runs toward the sound of danger with his gun up. I wholeheartedly understand not wanting to leave your sister and nephew, but I counted at least another 5 people there with you that could have had your back in this. Young So is carrying a P-56 here, rather than the P-5, the actual standard issue sidearm for commissioned officers in the South Korean Marine Corps. This means he's got 15 plus 1 bullets here, rather than the 13 plus 1 he would have with a K-5. Now, he could be doing this, although half a minute later, this backup packing K-2 assault rifle, chambered in 5.56, but I get it. Family needs you. And every second matters. Pops the lone zombie with 2 loud shots at point-blank range. Without any PPE. Even Cap used that earlier, which is full of mid-transformation zombies. Great. He tries to talk his sister out of staying with his now infected nephew. Not budget. I can't even fathom how hard this must be, but what on earth could possibly tell you to walk into this room? Sidearm or not, there is no way you can outreact all of those zombies at the same time and reload in time without getting bit. My solution here? Cold, but effective. Close the door on all of this. Let nature take its course.
Yeah, true. Let it take its motherfucking course.
In the middle of all those infected, holding an infected person, it's either A, infected herself already, means I'm not going in there. B, about to be infected before I can even reach her anyway, which means I'm not going in there.
Ha!
C, going to get me
See? I'm not going in there.
Nearly 100% of goner already, which means I'm not going in there. Easy, obviously.
No, that's it funny. That's fucking funny.
The door on all of this and let nature take its course. Seriously, if she's already sitting there in the middle of all those infected, holding an infected person, she's either A, infected herself already, which means I'm not going in there. B, about to be infected before I can even reach her anyway, which means
I'm not going in there.
C, going to get me killed trying to save her, even though she's nearly 100% a goner already, which means
I'm not going in there.
Would it be easy?
Oh my
Obviously
god,
not.
that's fucking
Is it the
funny
right
as
way
hell.
to make you
He's like,
wanna
which
live?
means I'm not
Absolutely
going in
yes.
there.
Instead, Young So sits there with his sister, crying, surrounded by zombies, while she refuses to leave, even as everyone starts coming at them, with Young So only barely making it out himself.
Run, nigga.
It finally arrives for the cleanup. I guess it's better late than never, but what the f, guys? We cut to 4 years later.
Yes, 4 years.
In Hong Kong, there's some unsavory characters walking the streets at night. They've come to greet our old friend Young So, who now has some kicked long hair. The Marine Corps' grooming standard cannot hold him prisoner any longer. Young So's not happy about being awoken from his nap and wakes up swinging. Before being told they're not here to beat him up, they're messengers. Not that he cares, though. At the gangster HQ, he meets his brother-in-law, Chulman. He's also introduced to the stereotypic English-speaking Italian-American mob boss. For some reason, running operations in Hong Kong. Mafia Man heard a rumor that people are going back into South Korea, tired of living in the poverty out here, no doubt, to loot all the nice stuff people left behind during the evacuation. Young So thinks these people are insane, in spite of Mafia Man paying off the forces guarding the exclusion zone around the border. Can't say I disagree. This is the whole 28 weeks later story all over again, Except there's no gullible BS wherein people are convinced it's safe to return to ground zero, like these idiots. These people are going in knowingly and willingly to escape the conditions of being a refugee from a nation that officially no longer exists. Mr. Stereotype also tells our two brothers they already had some successful excursions out there. He even recently secured a truck with $20 million in cash just sitting in it, which is what this dream team needs to collect. Yeah, because the previous driver not making it to the drop-off is a successful excursion.
So you might as well make your own future.
You see where he's going with this, though. He does raise a valid point about the state of limbo the refugees have been left in, legally speaking, by the international coalition to contain this mess. 2.5 million US per head is not half bad from that perspective. Besides, it's not like they've got much to lose. Our star duo visit a bar to drown their sorrows. It's basically just a showman trying to persuade young So. A lot of things. For starters, you're expected to venture into Incheon Port and make your way over to the Mokdong district of Seoul, which is a cozy hour-long drive, even if you're being sent in with a nice up-armored vehicle. I highly doubt how do you know that the roads aren't blocked. If you'd want to walk that distance to avoid detection, or because the roads are too jammed, you'd be taking hours to even get to the truck, because we're talking an 18-mile distance. By that time, the sun would come up again, and the whole stealth-off would be blown anyway. Also, what is it with this nighttime is better because the zombies can't see? It's been 4 years. Decomposition and a million other factors would be at play here. Normally, that would outright put these shamblers down for good, as I discussed in Dawn of the Dead. At the very least, this should guarantee that their vision is nowhere near as good as the non-infected adults, regardless of night or day. Also, it's said and demonstrated a lot of times in this movie, these things are attracted to sources of light. Guess when you don't need to carry one of those around? When it's not.
By the way,
night,
don't forget
not beaming away your position
to
to
text
every
me when you wake
shambler
up.
and potential survivor in your immediate vicinity, especially if you might have to do most of your trip on foot. Bold move to assume that you'll never have to illuminate anything along your path for this entire excursion. Does daytime, in contrast, not make you infinitely more vulnerable to a band of survivors? Yes, so does going at night. At the moment, you also have no reason to believe there's any sort of legitimate threats out there of the human variety, since it's pretty much a barren wasteland. You do have plenty of reasons to assume that zombie threats will be present instead, so I vote for doing this in the daytime. We can sneak past the Coast Guard under the cover of darkness, chill near the port so we can actually see what we're doing. Young So is still on the fence though. His brother-in-law calls him out for their shared survivor's guilt, but they're both suffering it, living like scum, and practically begs him to do this with them.
너도 괴롭잖아.
Valid point. Like I said, they really don't have all that much to lose anymore. Can't say my mind would be anywhere else, but get rich or die trying at this point either. Another customer starts proving Shulmin right almost immediately, treating these guys like a vermin just because they're from the peninsula. Something which we now, having lived 2020 and all, can verify is actually how people behave under these circumstances. Young So isn't having it. Sends his brother-in-law away to sober up, gives the owner of the establishment a stark reminder to keep their names out of his mouth. Not gonna lie, the shot glass smashdown was an alpha move. Now fully convinced that he's better than the...
It's morning again in Nutley. And under the leadership of Mauro Tucci, our award-winning parks are shining brighter than ever. Today our children will interact on fields and courts that are unparalleled anywhere. Our seniors will socialize and exercise in the area with the newest electronic gaming equipment. Today, under the stewardship of Mauro Tucci, our town is stronger, better, and more desirable than any other time. Nutley is a great place to live, and Mauro Tucci will keep it that way.
Hi, I'm Mauro Tucci, and I approve.
Vote 7A Mauro Tucci, Commissioner, May 14, 2024.
This life, Young So joins the team for the expedition into the exclusion zone. The crew gears up, admittedly doing better than most comparable crews that we've seen in these types of movies, but I'm still finding this weak overall, 5 out of 10 at best. This is really similar to the Army of the Dead, in that we're working with people who have an enormous amount of resources and equipment at their disposal. Not to mention, we aren't working under the same kind of time constraint, with a pending nuke drop on our AO. Why is that important? Well, for one, none of us are even remotely close to ready for this. Sure, Young So can brawl like nobody else. Definitely is a certified bad mofo and has the training. However, it's been years since he's actually used any of it. At minimum, a week or two to freshen up and teach these other randoms some basic tactics and drills, plus appropriate use of their weapons and gear, and in general getting into some semblance of an acceptable physical condition. It's 20 mil the mobsters are already waiting for, and have been for quite some time. What's 7 days more gonna hurt? Besides, if they actually want this money, they probably know it's better to send a Marine. Someone with a proven track record who's from the city, better than any random untrained strangers. Even with the prep time, that's the best bet for both parties here, hands down. Now for the actual gear, they've got suppressants. Something I've dearly missed in just about every single zombie movie I've seen so far. That'll help take out the zombies without drawing in an entire horde. It'll likely still attract any zombies within the immediate area. Contrary to popular belief, suppressors don't entirely silence a shot like in the movie. They'll be significantly quieter, but not entirely without sound. An MP5 and any AR-15 style system, suppressor ports, are not bad options. I think this loadout could use some work. Of course, some PPE. Presuming we'd be granted our prep time, we'd probably also pass along our gear wish list to the monsters. After all, it's in their best interest too that we're successful. My personal picks for this op, I thought you'd never ask. For my primary, AAC Honey Badger. It's ideal for suppressed use at close range, chambered in 300 blackout to make it even quieter. I'd include an IR laser to mark targets. We've already got access to NVG. Site-wise, my personal favorite is the EOTech Hollow Sight with the Magnifier PBS-14 combo. This covers close and medium-range engagement at both night and day. For my secondary, I think the suppressed 9mm would do. I'm a pretty big fan of this box, so I'd probably personally opt for a G45. Suppressor ready with extended magazine capacity just in case. I'd also pack several 9-bang grenades, as well as regular flashbangs to disorient the zombies or units. Smoke grenades, even 1 or 2 M67 frag grenades each, for if things truly get desperate. We have more carrying capacity left over, some explosives to bring up IEDs, surgeon style. I'd likely turn one of the crew, especially someone who can't shoot for into an ammo and explosives mule, carrying a trusty old school Alice pack. This would be filled with additional mags, grenades, and even additional medical supplies or food. All they need is the sidearm, before security equipment to tire off. We'd also want to at least be outfitted basic combat utility vest, along with a ton of added pouches. This would allow us to carry additional mags on ourselves, along with stuff like combat first aid kits, plate carrier, plate, rather than utility, likely wouldn't be my priority here. As I said, the likelihood of running into humans, much less those who could put up a professional military-grade encounter, is currently pretty much nil. I'd drop excess weight in favor of more mags and explosives. Now, for those who have already seen this would later turn out to be a poor decision. Nobody could know that. Movie though. I'm playing with the info that I should have at this point. I also want us to, at the very minimum, be wearing face coverings of some sort. Face shields, provided they don't obscure vision too much, keep bodily fluids out of our face. Also, the motorcycle pants or leather jackets could likely stop a bite from a zombie breaking through. Finally, comfortable, durable boots for the journey. Doing the above successfully, I'd also add in electric e-bikes or even regular bikes, like I suggested in my Zom 100 video. Walking that distance, as I pointed out before, asking for death. Relying on a car still being operational is dumb as well. Besides, the roads may be jammed. An e-bike might be able to get through that without too much issues or noise. You'll be able to scout out the path for the return journey. On the way back, you will be forced to at least have a portion of the crew in the truck for this all to work. Maybe you think all that's overkill, but why wouldn't you go full operator mode if we're up against God knows how many thousands of zombies, for all we know? might be well over 100 grand of gear altogether, compared to 20 million, especially for fallen gangsters in Hong Kong. Not only a meager fraction of what the return on their investment will be, it's also probably not too hard for them to acquire the items on our official list. They're connected to the underground. The crew rows the rest of the way from the boat to the port. They're given 3 days to make things happen, which also sort of implies that they need to be able to hold out for up to 3 days.
I hate the Juggernaut. I'm gonna still mess up that.
By the thugs. They're checking in for extraction. Good thing to have on hand, though. You never know what's gonna happen. If nothing else, you could always use it for a last second before I turn zombie. Phone call to the Hong Kong
Finally.
police and incriminating
They can't hit for shit, bro.
Here he goes down. The team makes wins with Lucien. Showman is pretty much losing his cool right off the bat.
Finally.
But you include the prep time. Yeah, not a good sign. They find a trusty old Kia with the key still in the ignition. Decide to cut their journey down by giving it a jump start. Full moon. For all you know, blockades every mile on all roads that you cannot pass through. E-bike could have made you guys' way in so much easier. The road even looks all messed up, and it's terrible shape. It's also the factor of car engine noise. Or, plot gods have conveniently given you a clean path through all those cars for nearly an entire 20-mile distance. Because of course you're that lucky. Then, the god of plot's convenience decided that wasn't enough, so the team pretty much lays eyes on what they think is the truck right away. Could it really be that easy? So, Young So goes to explore by himself with 3 people just staring at him from the car. How about dismounting, setting up some kind of perimeter with at least one person covering Young So, while the other 2 cover the opposite directions of the car? It's still a super exposed position altogether, but Beach just sitting there with her rifles in her hand. Young So gets jump scared by a bunch of zombies stuck in the ruins of the Soul Station. Where it all began in the first movie. Before running back to the car, the truck they spotted is actually not the right one. Looks like the Black Gods have forsaken you too. But of course, not even a minute of driving later, the second truck they spot does turn out to be the right one. Again, pretty much zero situational awareness. So 3 people now staring into the truck. Instead of setting up any kind of perimeter, have one guy check if this is all legit, then have the rest pull security so you don't get collapsed on. Instead, you just assume it's all good in the hood. Don't even keep their voices down or anything. They'll just gather around the front of the truck while stare at the same zombie. Then, in an even bigger display of stupidity, Cholman climbs into the cabin over the dead driver without double tapping him or anything. What the hell? Just stab him through the eye socket with a knife to be sure. What is so hard about that? But instead, you guys are such dumb. What's even crazier is that they don't haul us away. For all you know, you now have a horde of zombies coming in a dead sprint towards you. Get out of there. They stand around and blankly stare at the horde as it approaches. They finally peel back. Operator is hell, dude, but run. Shoots the cars nearby to set off several alarms. This can be done due to the fact that car alarms run off a separate battery in those cars. They still be intact. Then he just sort of stares at the zombies to make sure they actually go for the car. What would you have done if they didn't? The dumb truck driver doesn't pay attention, so he hits another car, setting off an alarm next to him, which immediately draws in the horde. Danger close. Young So is still not moving. He stands still, shoots the crawl runner zombie, even turns his back on the herd before he finally thinks, I've been standing here for a literal full minute now. It's time to bounce. You're a Marine, Young So. Shoot and move. It's in your DNA. Squad mounts back up and GTFOs with the horde hot on their trail. They start celebrating. It's a tad too early here. This is still an hour away from being important. You guys have done that. Look at us. I would say complacency kills here, but realistically, this dude just taunted the horde guy. That is an ambush that you have just stopped in the middle of. Just as the zombies start pouring in, Young So quits the training you pushes the team to push through, as you should. Never stop in the kill zone. Normally, you'd push through and dismount once safe in something like a herringbone maneuver. Then you suppress the ambush position further out, while friendly still for a flank. Obviously, that's not applicable here, as we don't know where any of this is coming from yet. And zombies
It's funny
don't
how my
carry rifles.
stream, the shit on my stream is so fucking bright. Like, my stream is bright, but on here, everything is, like, not. Everything is, like, fucking,
Pushing through is still the play.
like, trash. Like, the view, like, the shit is, like, the brightness is trash.
Zombies piling up and plowing into the car. In our ideal scenario, with our ideal loadout, you could either throw an M67 out the window into a group of cars, hoping to distract the zombies, or even create a little multi-car fire to keep them busy.
There
Or
we
you
go.
shoot
There's
any
that
of the cars
brightness.
driving past that are sitting a little further away from you to divert the zombies toward the other direction. That would require some very quick thinking though, but a lot. I didn't even think I had to say it, but the seatbelts. Especially if you're Mad Maxing it out of there. No excuses for that, guys. Zombieland came out like 10 years before this outbreak. Miraculously, getting launched out of the truck didn't do much to our warrior king. As he gets up, he sees his entire squad get annihilated, including Shulman. Picks up his MP5, starts going to work on the zombies. Just too many. Shulman manages to lock himself into the back of the truck. Not ideal, but, I mean, he was completely surrounded. Young Stowe runs out of ammo, because they barely took any mags, and nobody has a secondary. He's now forced to fight zombies hand to hand. Really not ideal. Last second, SUV comes in for the rescue.
Damn!
Driven by a female teenage Asian Terminator.
I looked entirely.
Saving young Stowe at the last second.
Oh, you potato!
But God's putting in overtime here, basically treating us as a Fast and the Furious style driving, or some straight up Secret Service maneuvering. A skill I guess most strangers just possess these days. This duo, later learn are sisters, definitely know their stuff. The driver shuts off the car as they enter a tunnel and coasts it to a stop, silently, while her little sister distracts the zombies with an RC car covered in flashy lights. Definitely not a bad idea. The range on these remotes might not be the best, but it'll do the trick. If you find a mall, you could just buy a heap of these, keeping at least a handful in the car with you on every trip as disposable zombie distractions. You could even, with my suggested loadout, turn these zombies into RC kamikaze drones by attaching some explosives to it for us to detonate that pulls in the herd. Seems to more than do the trick though, clearing a path for them to continue their journey. Back to the truck, Shulman isn't having a good time still being surrounded by zombies. Fortunately, the people who set up the ambush come in for the rescue. Or... getting murdered by those zombies is gonna feel like a treat here in a second. Yep, I'm thinking so. These bandits were clearly after the truck. Coleman is still in the back and is being taken with him to their hideout. Judging by how they did our fellow squad member in, I think he's in for it. Cut back to young Stowe, waking up in his savior's hideout. Greeted by an old man, doesn't seem to be all there, rambling on about the U.S. Korea HQ having been in contact with him. This old geezer is Tim. He's the father of Min Young, who is the mother of the sister who rescued us. Junie, aka Baby Driver, is a young Yu Jin. Young So, upon meeting their mother, immediately realizes it's the woman from the beginning of the movie. Ooh, yeah, that's awkward. Hope she doesn't recognize him. As he's held at gunpoint, he also learned who these bandits were. Unit 631, a rogue militia composed almost entirely of ex-South Korean army soldiers, initially dispatched to rescue trapped civilians. The D-bag who shish kebabbed our team member is Sergeant Wong. They're basically the bad guys known to extort, kill, steal, and everything in between. They also apparently must have watched Dawn of the Dead, is they decided to hold up in an abandoned mall. Not a terrible idea, like I said in that video. The only downside is that others will come to the same conclusion and want the mall for themselves. But if you're a bunch of soldiers with plenty of guns, who cares? This place has everything. Decent security, defensible locations, supplies, weaponry, and of course, a small group of individuals who pull all of these past it. Practically enslave the people inside their compound, and even terrorize their own guys. Oh, they also organize free-for-all death matches with prisoners and zombies. Fun! colorful character sucking on a 1911 is their commanding officer, Captain So. He's just really, really tired of the apocalypse, basically. Soldier that was getting picked on by Sergeant D-Bag earlier, Private Kim, tells the captain about their latest haul. Pretty much immediately clues him in that whoever was transmitting this useless money was probably taking it out of Korea, and boy does he want to take it out. Meanwhile, Young So is having the same conversation. Both groups basically simultaneously realize they have to get what's in that truck. Speaking of the truck, how's Chillman doing? You are never doing good if people are placing bets on you in this kind of situation. If only he knew how messed up his day was about to become. He gets placed into a holding area with the other contestant. While Captain So manages to reach the gangsters on the sat phone from the truck, they basically give him the same offer as the squad earlier, meaning So can finally leave the correct way, even some cash for his trouble. Inside the mall, Chulman is released from holding for his first fight. I wonder how this works. That's out. This is a tough one. Obviously, escaping is not the play. Bare-knuckle brawling zombies is bound to end badly for you, particularly since they'll just be multiplying at moments, outnumbering us even more so than before. This is a timed event though, and all we have to do is run out the clock. All I can say here is try to avoid the spotlights. Knowing these things have a weird obsession with light, throwing people from shaded areas into the spotlights, feeding them to the zombies is probably the only play. Even then though, they are going to turn and come for you, so you need to keep on your feet and keep moving. Chulman is the only one from abroad here, meaning he almost certainly has the advantage of superior physical health plus nutrition on his side, versus the already exhausted, much weaker malnutritioned cellmates that he's up against. It shouldn't be impossible to stay ahead of them, in human form anyway. Though strategized exceptionally well or not, it's an enclosed area where you're forced to face zombies half-naked, unarmed. But true way to make it out of there. With exactly that on his side, Chulman survives day one of the zombie gladiator class. Turning to his cage for a feast worthy of a winner. Judging by how they're practically fighting over food, I'd say nutrition's gonna be an uphill battle here. That means Chulman is basically surviving on a timer. He can use his current superior physical fitness to throw all the into the zombies each fight, but he's also therefore increasing the size of the opposing team by creating more zombies. And he's given anyone who he hasn't killed yet a reason to want to target him. If this is what their living standards are as prisoner warriors, matter of time until he slips up or otherwise can't keep up with the physical demand of this lifestyle, both causing his death. Meanwhile, back at Young So's, they start working on the plan to retrieve the truck from within Unit 631's compound in Xville via the gangsters. Only Old Man Kim wants to stay put until the presumably suspicious Major Jane comes to rescue them. I don't know, man. Korea U.S. military agents didn't realistically exist anymore, according to the story. Well, I'd be chalking this down to straight-up demented rambling. Nothing worth taking seriously. Still decides to call in their plans to Major Jane, promising an Xville as a port. I doubt it, but whatever, Grandpa. That's what I'm saying here. Even with our ideal loadout present from the start, and without losing any of it during the car flare situation, we likely still seriously outgunned, out-equipped, and outnumbered here. Min Young pretty much just tells Young So to suck it, though, that she can't stay here any longer. Why is that exactly? I get the hope of an extraction is awesome and all, but from what I understand, you've held out in this wasteland for 4 years. Surely you still want your kids to live, right? I guess you can't expect people to think straight anymore after an apocalypse. Young So clearly doesn't like this, nor should he. Yujin delivers a revenge burn from her dead dad to Young So. Makes him feel guilty enough to join in on the fun.
힘없는 사람 도와주라고.
Where you going?
뚫린 것만 잘 찾으면
What's that?
30분 남았어.
Captain So and Private Kim are planning a similar play. Their main concern is getting past
Going to
Sergeant
CC?
Wong and his men undetected with the truck. Understandable, since Wong and his men seems to be in
Let's
control of
live
this
stream
place,
at that
rather than
apartment
So.
and live stream
Kim
me
knows
playing
a
with
way
the cat.
to distract
But
the
I'm
guard.
pretty sure people are gonna
Could
show up and
always
be like,
set up a
"That's cute."
sound or light trap on
Now
one
what do you
end
want me
of
to
the
sign?
compound, or by the other exits or entries into the mall. This would create a zombie
Always
horde to
there.
force more
What
attention
exact-
towards that end of the
You mean
compound,
comma and
allowing you to
Zachary?
slip out. The issue here is
Put it
that
on the
these are
table so you
soldiers,
can drink.
so I'd wholeheartedly expect them to still cover their sectors, even if 90% of their force is hauled to the opposite side of the compound. That's just standard procedure. Then again, it's also standard procedure in the Korean Marine Corps. Clearly, Young So never got that memo as an officer. So, maybe. You could
He
also
does.
rig up an IED on one end of the compound, potentially even one strong enough to blow a hole
Yes,
through the
it
perimeter
does.
altogether.
But it
Actually force all the troops into one location for defense. In any case, if you can reduce the amount of parts just painful on one end of the compound,
I know.
especially in the midst of gunfire from the
I'm
other
joking, I
taking care
don't.
of the horde
I'm
distraction
blind.
you've created, it wouldn't just be fish. Shots are then fired. Sergeant Long would just spit zombies and not discover the fire team he left in charge of this entrance to be dead until they either fail to check in on Tom or come back after dealing with support team or breach on the other end, finding all their guys dead and the main gate left wide open for good measure. Young So has a flashback to Min Young, begging for help with the baby Eugene. He feels guilty
We
over
really
his
have
actions.
no pens,
He's the only
do
one
we?
left from his entire family, as far as he knows. Fueled by the guilt, he decides to join their stealth op into Unit 631's compound.
SMGs only.
Young So also
I just
finally
said
tells Min
SMGs
Young
only, that's
he's
all I
the
said.
Marine officer that left them high and dry on the side of the road 40 years ago. Lucky for him, she's not mad about it. He's just one of the many people that ignored their cry for help. 31 cars, to be precise. Now, I don't want to be a... But my earlier point was valid, in spite of us now
Okay.
seeing more of the personality of the folks we refused to help. All 31 cars made the right call. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. She does, however, remind him
Why?
that while he's not indebted to her in any way, her daughter did save him.
I guess my
Entitled to
left.
much? Young So just wanted
Wait,
to
hang on.
survive, lady.
Yeah, my left hand. Left
The
bumper
team's
on
head
my
out
controller,
first
that's what I've
to
been
the
pressing it
compound,
with, so
then
yeah, it's my
back
left
to
hand.
Ninja Court. Let's talk strategy from their perspective real quick.
I'm
I
going
think the easiest,
don't worry, I'm
simplest
eating
plan
that. I'm
is to
eating
use
that.
the collection of RC cars Eugene has, which she was
You got
already
me
throwing
messed up,
a
you think I ain't
tantrum
gonna eat that.
over. She couldn't
That's
take
curry
them.
chicken with
What if
broccoli
she
in it.
could take them,
Bruh, that's
though?
good.
And what if we could put them all to use? Everybody's happy. Great. Now, to answer one viewer's comment from a few days ago, do you think researching this stuff will get you put on some kind of watch list? Well, generally no. This next bit, however, maybe, as it definitely sent me down the rabbit hole of researching technical details on how IEDs like that are made. I struggle to believe it would come across as normal if I said it was for my...
We're the Ghostbusters. You call, we answer. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Final Red Pal.
I'm watching that movie on
Got
God.
weak arm!
How do you sleep at night?
On a mattress. From Mattress Firm. So I sleep.
Hello, whoever's in my stream. How's your day been? Oh, Christ.
Get matched at Mattress Firm? Sleep in it.
loyal followers on YouTube.
Here, talk about making a dirty bomb with stuff you can find in your kitchen.
So, RC
Damn.
for obvious reasons,
Damn.
YouTube is not going to allow me to collaborate on how this works. Because, well, you know, all I will say is that several insurgent factions and terror organizations have
I know
successfully
mission
deployed
time is
RC
half
cards
over.
to
You don't
function
gotta
as
remind me,
remote
damn
control
it.
IED. We're talking Iraq, Afghanistan, even a planned but never executed case in Luke in the UK. If we had our ideal loadout, or even just some household
I'm not
chemicals
a
we
football
could
player,
mix
by the
to
way.
create poison
Just
gas,
letting you
for
know.
instance, we
I'm
could
using
attach
paddles.
either chemical or
2 paddles,
explosive
in
weaponry to these RC cars,
Damn,
and deploy
very
them
cool.
around the perimeter of the mall. Have them bring several hordes of zombies straight to the enemy's doorstep. This would come with either a bang hard enough to blow holes in their perimeter on several fronts, or a gas attack that's going to be really hard to handle without the correct gear. Missed opportunity, genuinely.
Welcome to...
Damn!
Yes, guy, I swear that research was just for YouTube. Min Young tells Junie to leave her if she's not back in time. Now again, we're not utilizing
mag
the
seems
whole
like a
team,
go.
which is even
Seems like the
more
way to go, not gonna
We're
lie.
up against easily 30 times as many people as we have. Junie is an incredible driver. Yujin can, as I mentioned, definitely make herself useful with the RC car. Hell, the little psycho might even enjoy it altogether. It's literally real life Left 4 Dead with explosives. That gives you a vehicle that stays mobile around your AO and is able to provide intel on zombie or enemy troop movement. Plus, providing
Damn it!
all the while
I'm close to getting a new
zombies
threat. Swear to
and or
God.
weakening enemy defenses, allowing Min Young and Young So to sneak in with significantly more ease. Hell, Old Man Kim can even be a window gunner in the back seat. This is the earlier truck check scene all over again. Use your team, people. If not, what was even the point of taking your girls with you? You could leave them sitting in the open? Young So and Min Young dismount and head into an underground parking garage. This leads to an emergency exit, concealed by old cars, that Min Young discovers when she still lived in the compound.
P.S. I do
Apparently,
2020.
631 doesn't know of its existence, as they very easily make it inside. They move through the compound, quickly and silently. Like I said, the distraction outside the gate right now would be absolutely superb. Or hell, if we had our loadout, we could even throw some flashbangs or M67s different directions.
I could get on
Right now to
Roblox
create
to play
chaos
Phantom
and
Forces, but I doubt I'm gonna do
However, unbeknownst to them, Captain So is working on something very similar, yet very different. Basically, why
God.
Sergeant Wong didn't add
Damn right,
any points before
merciless.
this. Check what's inside the truck he stole and brought back as loot. Found a truck full of food, enough to last them all an entire month or so. And of course, being the generous officer that he is, means he wants to celebrate with the rest. So there will be a fight to the last man unlimited game. Good luck, Schulman. He's also handing every last man a load of supplies. Since there's extra, he tells them to enjoy it like there's no tomorrow. Because obviously, once he's out of there with the truck, he doesn't get two shits anymore if they all starve come tomorrow. He's quite quit as their CEO a long time ago already. Somehow, having developed super special Korean Army mind-reading capabilities, Wong just magically knows that something's up with the captain. I don't know, man. Maybe it's all the whiskey, talking to pictures of models on his wall, sucking his god 1911 barrel. Yeah, I'd say he's been on it for a while, dude. Wong enters So's office. Obviously, that's So's precious, sweet escape. But I don't think he actually realizes just how dangerous Wong truly is.
Ooh, shit. I'm close to the new.
This man is beyond unhinged, but in my opinion, he just acts like a fool when in reality, he has great detection abilities. He figures that something's off. So refused to even give them smaller snacks earlier in their survival run, and now he's overly generous. That's a dead giveaway here as well. If you act wildly out of character, more likely to be picked up on. Could have just given them something extra, so it doesn't appear too crazy, along with extended games. Maybe not even 24 hours. Long enough for him to escape. I get he saw no harm in this, but flipping from nothing is permitted to everything is permitted overnight, it's clear that, at minimum, you're getting ready to take the easy way out. Private Kim enters the captain's room, trying to meet up with the escape. So uses the distraction.
No! No! Wait, yes, we got it!
I'd argue you could even just
We
throw
got
them
the
all
nuke.
together right here. If he's not paying attention, his reaction time clearly won't be fast enough. The others won't hear it because of
Let's
the
go,
noise. of the
bruh.
deathmatch. You won't have to deal with disposing of him afterward, nor can he then mess up your escape. It doesn't seem like anyone else will take over the hunt for our scalp. Wong certainly would. Wong hears So chamber around behind his back, causing him to think on his feet and purposely misinterpret the situation, with Kim and So having become a couple.
Damn. 157 total
If I
kills.
was So here, I still wouldn't let him leave. You know this dude's a danger to you both, and many others too. You've got these set up here to end this in GTFO. Don't hesitate. We're just underestimating the guy once again.
Okay.
Sure you're not gonna regret that later? Back in the Overwatch vehicle, Yujin spots an entire horde of zombies making their way straight to the compound. Meanwhile, Young So and Min Young finally
Why
get
didn't
to
they
the
give me a
truck full
fork,
of money,
bruh?
and again, split up, nobody standing guard. Holy sh! Young So, you are a Marine. Look how easily Private
Alright.
Ken manages to intrude on your party.
I can play Minecraft if I feel like it.
At least you're lucky she actually noticed this guy, since you weren't covering your sector. Kim doesn't even care anymore. He just wants out. Tells them about the other sat phone, and about Chol Min still being alive. When Kim has to speech check a sentry, Young So hears that his brother-in-law has become some kind of fighter, and that he's actually working hard to survive. This obviously makes Young So want to go help. Min Young tells him to stop hesitating, like he's been
My
doing
skin
this
is peeling
whole
off
movie.
my nose,
Get
bruh.
going. Okay, that hesitating stuff was me, but still, this isn't the greatest idea. You're splitting up again, and you're leaving Min Young 1 versus 2 in a close-range situation, where her rifle's barrel is a serious liability in itself. A better play here, while also very cold.
Obey,
would be to just
obey
honestly
your,
leave Chol Min.
obey,
You have to wait
obey
God
your,
knows how many
obey,
soldiers to
obey,
get
obey
reach.
your,
It sounds like this
your,
is an
thirst,
entire
thirst. What
Korean
the
Army
fuck?
company, based on what we see and hear throughout the scenes in the compound. That means anywhere from 50-odd soldiers, if their numbers are already heavily depleted, to a potential 200
Sickening,
or
busted.
more. Again, just not happening.
I think we're gonna
Sorry, Nomi, but
chill.
if I leave you,
We might
at
just
least
chill.
I won't be reminded of my
Not gonna
sister
lie, I think I
every
might
single
chill.
day anymore. Plus, we all live to GTFO. Nonetheless, Young So goes for the rescue play. Moments later, So finally comes to find Kim, seeing him held at gunpoint instead. Channeling his inner John Wick, So expertly plays off the, "Oh, I can't find the sat phone," before performing an actually kind of impressive draw. And nearly headshotting Min Young instantly. She doesn't get hit, instead starting the truck and smacking him onto the ground with the rear end. Meanwhile, the soldiers inside it take way too long to notice the gunshots ringing out, until they're on the receiving end. Complacency kills. Young So enters the inner compound, guns blazing, drawing in both infected from the outside and alerting everyone inside to his presence. Meanwhile, Chol Min is doing his best to not get got, as one of the last remaining fighters in the ring. Just as he's about to become Hunter Chow, Young So comes in clutch with the headshot.
I need ideas. What can I play, guys? Can I play?
Okay, that is your cue to start GTFOing. Instead of staying near any kind of cover or right below the enemy soldiers, Young So again walks into the middle of a zombie-infested, enclosed area with the bad guys and zombies on all sides. Dude, just use your ranged weapon to pick the zombies off from afar, as well as suppress or kill the enemy soldiers. You know they're just gonna go get their weapons and return fire, right? You see that they outnumber you, right? If you already have the element of surprise, then use it. He covers the arena in smoke while Huang just stupidly asks where he went. Instead of, I don't know, just all collectively mag dumping into the cloud of smoke, Young So shoots a flare into the compound, sending the zombies dashing towards those inside, causing a mass panic. It also creates perfect cover in the form of chaos for them to slip out undetected. Chaos was right. Inside the compound, people are getting ripped to shreds in record time. Full-on Outbreak 2.0. Young So guides his brother-in-law through the horde, moving and shooting as you should, before finding themselves cornered between zombies and enemies. All you can really do here is just pop another smoke grenade, get your rifle, and keep moving. Concealment, suppressive fire in short 2 to 3 round intervals, while breaking contact. That's the play.
How the
Move
fuck
from
does
cover
this
to
nigga
cover
know about
without
this shit?
concealment. Depending on your ammo status, keep the enemy suppressed as best as you can. Unfortunately, they stay put for way too long, causing the situation to get more dire by the second. Young So gets separated from his rifle as he fights off a zombie at point-blank range, while Unit 631 moves in tight formation. See how close they're standing to each other there? That's why frag grenades exist. Seriously, 1 M67 and Unit 631 goes bye-bye.
They go bye-bye.
It sprays a burst of surprisingly accurate rounds into the advancing soldiers before tossing it over to him.
God damn!
Unfortunately, this gives Wong a clean shot, dropping Chol Min for good right in front of Young So. Seems absolutely gut-wrenching, even though I will acknowledge I did initially want him left behind. He's with his wife and son now, Young So. You need to keep going. Make his sacrifice worth it. He got his redemption arc. Now you need to go get yours. Shout out here to this character. Shulman went from being a nobody who couldn't do He was a zombie fighting champion in the ring. He laid down his life for young
I know a
despite him being
fucking
absolutely
game.
terrified and untrained.
I mean, I'm gonna get
Understandably,
mad
losing
pissed
the last
off,
of his
but
family, young So
I
was
still
not
have
about to
Dark
let this go.
Deception
I
here.
really wish I could say I'd have the mental fortitude.
But I
to
don't
just
feel like
let
playing
this
Dark
happen and
Deception
live,
right now.
but considering Unit 631 hasn't
Ooh,
got
you have
the
Destiny 2, which I
slightest
still
clue
haven't.
how to effectively form
No,
up
I bought
and
the
maintain
The Witcher
dispersion,
Queen pack
giving
for
this
free.
one the pass. Like them to
Multiverses
Young So
Crowd.
with Shulman.
I want to try this. Warframe, VR chat.
Taking on the entire group of soldiers and absolutely obliterating them. Only Wong poses a legitimate threat, but just as he's about to go for the money shot, then Young drives into the wall with a truck for extraction. This wouldn't be Young So if he didn't take his mandatory 10-second standing eyes open power nap before taking any actions of any kind. Move, you idiot. He manages to snap out of it and hops in. They drive away while Wong orders his men to give chase immediately. So misses the truck, since obviously the duo couldn't care less about anyone from Unit 631, and immediately takes out his frustration on poor Private Kim.
Damn!
While the team makes their getaway, we see that Wong is very much occupied.
Should have shot that nigga
inside the compound.
in the head.
This should give us a pretty serious head start, which realistically would make all the difference, especially once they lose sight of us. Like I mentioned in my Your Heroes Will Get Lost video, urban environments are mazes. Young So and Min Young clash with
I'm
the
gonna start
zombies,
floating with
cut
Tinder
off
on
their
stream
route.
from now
They
on.
start
By the
wildly shooting at the horse, but why? Pop these cars all around you to set off the car alarms. You know that works. And you've done this already earlier in the movie. Bonus points if you shoot a car further away from you, since it'll draw in the bad guys too. Luckily, the Fast and the Furious are here. Good. Now pop some cars to lead Unit 631 astray and distract the zombies. Then GTFO. They plow through the zombies when Grandpa Kim ignites the fuse on some fireworks to give the zombies something to chase. Smart. This would have been infinitely more useful if utilized during our compound. Infiltration. Even this on those RC cars would likely be a super successful distraction. Bro, be happy they didn't listen to you. They saved you, first of all. You two clearly seem to have forgotten any of the things that you have at your disposal to get rid of that horde. Oh, and also, when exactly were you planning to go back for them? Seems to me like once you had the truck, you booked it for Incheon. Didn't see you going around looking for your kids to rendezvous. Nor did you have any comms with them. Sounds to me like you're just mad your offspring didn't let you manipulate them into ending your bloodline prematurely. Wong's crew, due to the flares giving away their general location, and them being forced to stop to deal with the horde, has managed to catch up to them. We get treated to what I can only describe as literal Korean Mad Max. Even the kids are in on this. Unit 631 stops toying with them and starts going for some kills, albeit in nowhere near the most efficient way. This, whatever the hell this is supposed
This
to
nigga's on 60. You're not on 60 FPS, nigga. You are not on fucking no fucking 60 FPS.
Frustrated that he's getting his handed to him despite overwhelmingly better odds, Wong orders his crew to enable some enormous floodlights to bring in as many infected as possible. You do realize those zombies are gonna want you too, right? Definitely spices up the car chase scene, that's for sure. Also, it doesn't hurt that Young So is some kind of Navy SEAL marksman elite god in terms of accuracy. In a fast-moving vehicle, bumping up and down on absolutely derelict old roads, it manages to hit these searchlights on the first attempt, twice, while just casually hanging out the window. I'm not even going to try to find logic in this scene, because, I mean, look at it. Yeah, that's totally how that works. Zombies even start throwing themselves off roofs and bridges onto the car. Yes, why not? Young So gets a smart idea as they drive past the station from earlier. He releases the zombies from behind the glass onto Unit 631 as they pass by it. Which, of course, cracks and breaks exactly as they pass it a few seconds later. Not before and not after. This releases a tidal wave of zombies onto their now stuck car. Surrounded with no escapes, the zombies eventually crack the lunchbox on wheels. That's so mad. Young So calls the gangsters.
I just said I'm streaming to this chick.
Tail's clear now.
Chick really just this ugly ass chick just texted me like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "I'm streaming. What do you think I'm doing?"
Right out. Just as Captain So makes his comeback and T-bones the girl's car. He holds Junie at gunpoint, forcing the others to drop their
Madaraga.
Don't really get
God, I should probably stream some fucking. I should definitely on God stream JJK on my channel.
So and Min Young would actually give a damn. He wasn't wrong. He just wanted out. He could have just offered himself up, disarmed, hands in the air, saying he just wants out. Now that he's held them at gunpoint and threatened them, they're just gonna want you dead. Think so. Think. Eugen uses the RC car to distract us. This him off so much for some reason that he wants to shoot a freaking child. He ultimately hits old man Kim instead, who shields his granddaughter with his own body before dropping. Min Young uses the opportunity to pick up her rifle, but takes a round to the thigh before she can shoulder it to shoot So. Young So grabs his M4 and immediately begins firing at him, who takes off in their truck. How none of these shots actually hit So, I can't understand. 556 would absolutely rip through the cabin of that truck like it was nothing. We even see Young So shooting several rounds point blank into the driver's side door, which would realistically all hit So, putting him down for good. Instead, So just gets to drive off into the sunset here, making it onto the boat before the infected can reach them. Fortunately, the gangster doesn't appreciate that it's not Young So showing up to finish the job. Oh my god, right before he's about to meet his maker, So decides to screw the gangsters over for double-crossing him with one final act, kicking the truck into reverse and ramming it into the currently closing ramp hatch, preventing closure and allowing zombies to come pouring in. Ah, yes, nature is healing. Unfortunately, this leaves our squad stranded now, without Axville, surrounded by zombies. Speaking of our squad, Old Man Kim dies surrounded by his loved ones, thanking them for being with him. With his last breath, he tells them how sorry he is for making them live in this world. The motivations behind these characters' actions when they lay down their lives for their families are honestly indisputably pure. In a situation where they could choose to die for someone they love, rather than watch that person die instead, they choose the selfless path without hesitation. We can only hope to be lucky enough to have a Kim around if we ever find ourselves in a similar situation. Just when all hope seems lost, and Young So visibly doesn't even have a clue where the next play could possibly be, they're finally thrown a bone. Realizing this is the extraction Old Man Kim was talking about, they immediately pull out all the remaining flares to signal the Chinook. Young makes Young So promise he'll take the girls with him, no matter what, because he owes them his life. She plans to stay behind as she can't walk, hold off as much of the horde as she can to improve their odds of escape. It's a tough call, but unless we can get to a safe LZ with relative ease, or this Chinook is carrying some serious man and firepower, it's pretty much the only way that we don't get overrun. Though I'd still opt to at least try the car alarm tactic one more time before we just accept a team member's death. Min Young thanks her father for doing what needs to be done. They all start running towards the chopper with zombies absolutely everywhere. Min Young starts falling behind us pretty quickly and begins putting down as many as she possibly can, while Young So takes her daughters and bolts to the chopper. Her plan works, but she's quickly overrun and forced to fall back to the cabin of a nearby truck. There's zombies clawing at her from every direction as she pulls in the horde with the horn, which for some reason works on this truck with the presumably dead battery. At the chopper, they meet Major T, who old man Kim was actually in contact with this whole time. Guess he wasn't crazy after all. UN troops won't entertain the idea of saving Min Young, which is understandable given they've only got a handful of soldiers with them. This makes Jeannie pull Major Jane's piece from her holster and try to force her to go save Min Young. Bold move. It's way less likely to work out than you think. The UN soldiers don't immediately drop her for this serious act of aggression, and instead try to hold her back as she screams for her mother. Min Young, in the cabin of the truck, debates putting herself down so her family won't keep waiting around for her. Every key scene in this movie is absolutely filled to the brim with people who cannot make decisions and just sort of stand in place. Major Jane tries to reason with Junie that her mother made a sensible decision, prompting Young So to think back to Shulman's words about he didn't even try to save his family. Realizes his brother-in-law was right, that he had given up on life itself, so he decides to try his best for these girls with officially nothing left to lose. He takes off running towards Min Young while shooting in the air, snapping her out of her near self-deletion and pushing her into overdrive instead. She manages to break free from the truck after emptying the rifle, fighting back zombies at melee range as she limps over to her family and the UN team. Young So keeps up covering fire, putting down as many zombies as he can, as well as deploying a smoke grenade to help conceal their exfil. Oh, now you suddenly remember your training? Huh. Fight their way back slowly, inch by inch, using car doors to hold back the zombies as a sort of barrier, while the UN guys just kind of watch for the most part.
I've been streaming for an hour, bro.
A single UN soldier even do as much as fire a single round for cover or suppression, further proving UN peacekeepers are totally useless in almost every armed conflict. Min Young makes it back to her kids. Miraculously, Young So makes it out too. They leave the peninsula receiving medical attention aboard the chopper. Don't worry, the movie ends. In the end, of our original protagonists, only Young So, Min Young, and her two daughters managed to make it out alive. The two crew members we had with us during the initial excursion just unlucky.
That nigga doing butterfly strokes.
Encounter Sergeant Wong and particularly bad move. Shulman could have saved himself, but chose to sacrifice himself for his
I'm not
brother-in-law.
finishing this house creative, I don't care.
Being Kim could have also saved himself, but chose to save his granddaughter instead, as his dying wish was to get them out of the hell that they were living in. These two could have very well survived, but instead went down as heroes. However, let's not negate the fact that with proper prep time, better equipment, and slightly better planning, or Young So just not forgetting his entire training, this whole op could have been conducted far more efficiently. For this reason, I think Peninsula was beaten. Moral of the story, don't just stand around watching people die. We've had a lot of movies come up as suggestions in the comments over the years. We want to try and gauge the appetite for certain movies. Go to the link in the description and feel free to suggest or vote on movies you'd like us to cover. We'll try to review these every week in addition to our own picks to create the content that you guys want to see more of.
Since he wants to do it so much,
you fuse with an alien parasite, turning you into a mutant. What you would do? Sue-In is a supermarket cashier. Winds up on the receiving end of some unwanted attention from a local psycho. If only she knew how much attention she'd be receiving afterwards, though. I'm going to break down the mistakes made. What you should do, gotta beat the Asian church in Parasite the Ray. Start out following a concept in this series' prologue. A mysterious life form falls from the sky, catching a crawling insect of some sort, which crawls its way over to an unsuspecting party guest and into his ear. Partygoers in the VIP room, where it appears in his booth, really went a little too far. That's why he was passed out to begin with. His girlfriend walks in and berates him for not taking the bait into their event. He'd rather just spend his time drinking. Back outside, the lady didn't find her boyfriend standing in the crowd. As he approaches, it becomes very quickly apparent he's no longer her boo. That turns into alien tentacles, kind of like the Kraken in Pirates of the Caribbean, before he starts viciously slashing those around him to death. From the first victim's perspective, it doesn't look like there's all that much he can do. The parasite just body jacked him with zero consideration. Not much he can do about that while passed out.
You'll need to get a sticker for this one.
Cut to a supermarket.
Yay!
Forced to deal with an nasty list of customers for the amazing rate of minimum wage. The guy comes unhinged at the thought that the meat he bought from the in-store butcher
Is there a webcam in the corner?
and labeled by the butcher. Duh, you expect them to wait and slice the meat in the kills? She stands her ground. Thing is, that is what she's supposed to do. But all it seems to do is make this guy even more mad. Later that night, Sue heads home from her job on a scooter, not noticing Pete following her out in the middle of nowhere. As they're well on their way, Psycho rams Sue off the road with his car before delivering unhinged rambling about how nobody thinks he'd actually do it. The only thing you can realistically do in this situation is call 112, Korea's emergency number, while running. It all happens way too fast though, not to mention she was already likely injured from being rammed off a scooter.
Hey, you stupid stick!
Stabs her with a kitchen knife, tries running away, slashes right by one of the parasites in the field, actually saving her in this case, as it decides to slice this guy clean down the middle, from the chest up.
God!
What can a person
That nigga got cut in half, literally.
Well, if someone puts this much effort into trying to hurt you, it's honestly down to some luck whether you be able to recognize a potential threat from one interaction in a grocery store. Other than that, she might have been able to notice she was being tailed, which she could confirm by taking 4 consecutive left turns. If she did confirm she was being tailed, she didn't call 112 while remaining on the scooter, but realistically, she could totally have been at the mercy of this psycho. If he noticed her pulling out a phone, very likely he ran her to avoid a police encounter in the first place. Those people don't just somebody's going to murder you over a price tag on you, though. None of that crosses Sue's mind. Fortunately for her, the passing-by driver does call the cops after the altercation. Well, cops do their best to piece the story together, but you can't make sense of it. Detective Tillman, head of the city's violent crime department, is leading the investigation.
It's pretty strange, Bob. Nobody's sure if he got cut and scratched or...
Yeah, and how? Turns out the victim is known to be infected. Turns out she also insta-healed from the parasite infection too, leaving only scars where she got stabbed earlier.
Yeah.
Even she doesn't understand, saying she definitely got stabbed and doesn't understand how the attacker died. Cut to a very stereotypical Korean mobster boss entering an establishment in the nice downtown area. Another main character of the show, Kang Woo, tries to sneak in and assassinate the mobster. Except it doesn't go anywhere close to plan. Failing to get a swift kill, Kang Woo gets slapped around like a fish before being forced to flee.
Hey, he scared me.
He tosses his phone sometime later, before making his way over to his childhood home. His older sister, Kyung Hee, greets him. He looks less than pleased to be shut in a place. His little sister also isn't there. He finds her phone, the state of which makes him think he's missing, not gone somewhere, like Kyung Hee said. Cutting back over to Sue-in, she's trying to return to normalcy after the attack. As she's on a bus ride home, and as her scooter's been stolen and all, suddenly gets zapped by a high-pitched ringing sound. Whether coincidental or not, some creep there giving her the death stare. Like it's non-verbal communication of some kind. And then a second later, understandably freaked out after her recent experience, gets off the bus. Smart move. Elsewhere, a random businessman is trying to solicit some he thinks is a prostitute. It's taken one of the shadiest looking buildings ever. Now, doesn't get her off the hotel, yet takes him someplace like this. I get this gentleman is supposed to be wasted, but that is straight up ironic levels of not noticing red flags. Alone, companionship by a bunch of other people. They all engage in similar emotionless, monotone
Am I bonus chest?
talking about this family.
That's my effing bonus.
For a fight, squares up Like
And
he'd
with my
actually
eyes to
stand
see,
a chance
there's no
to
way
get
you're telling me
sick.
he's getting
The
held up
reality
by
is
these
much
little ass
worse, though.
strips.
We're all
Maybe we don't pump
parasites
fake this shit
who
for
are
2
add to
seasons
their
just for Bro to
pantry.
get held up
The
by
only
them
counterplay to a
This shit
situation
crazy.
like this is not
Animation's so good,
driving
I
yourself
forgot
to a
Mara Rapid
secondary
Station was 3
location
hits,
where
10
this
cars,
cold
30
and
AE
almost
buildings
nonverbal,
destroyed.
oddly
Not doing
behaving
shit for real.
stranger
The
wants to
city
be
is so
alone with you
friendly,
at.
just like the Avengers, they don't give 2 shits about Forza Unit chases down
Just
Mara
as this
Rapid.
guy's about to be reduced to
And he
parasite
finally
chow,
starts showing some
John
IQ, shows that that head is not for
clean up
decoration.
house,
He uses a
saving
rubber